Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kansept Knives and Warhawk Knives Superhawk, an option for people looking for that premium production titanium frame lock that is also on the larger side. I feel like we don't really have enough of these, certainly way less than knives on the smaller side, so that's good. Thanks so much to Kansept Knives for sending this in. This is available in a wide variety of different finishes and colors and materials, and well, at least for the scale inlays, but there's a bunch of different ones, so I'll let you guys check them out and link it in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links. That's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and take a look at the specs here. Pretty big, a little over 9 inches with a 3.9 inch blade and nearly 160 thousandths, excuse me, on the spine there. Nothing incredibly special going on with the blade steel, but it is a good blade steel, CPM S35VN, a good user steel for sure. I'm not sure why they would call this a Wharncliffe. I wouldn't describe it that way. I wonder if that's a typo. This was pulled directly from the Kansept Knives website. And then it's pretty heavy at 6.8 ounces, so closing in on 9 ounces there. So definitely a big boy. What knives does this most closely compare to in size and length? I mean, at least as far as what I've got out here on the table. The AD10 and the Ontario Rat 1. It is definitely big. Nearly the same robustness as the AD10 in terms of, well, I shouldn't say robust. The heftiness, right? The bigness, the largeness, the thickness. It's the presence. It definitely does take up some extra room in the pocket. Not absolutely monstrous, but noticeable, especially if you've been carrying something smaller. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. The tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I would hope that Kansept would just do T8 on everything here. I'm almost certain that's what they did. So we have T8 for the pivot. No, that feels a little bit bigger. Did they do something weird here and go with the T9? The T9 fits, but you know what? I think it's actually going to end up being a T10. Let's take a look. I am correct. And these down here are going to be a T8. Let's make sure that we're actually using the right bit. So T10, no, come on. That's the T9. T8, sorry about that. T8 for the body screws. T8 for the pocket clip screws, right? Or did they go smaller here? Yeah, I think they did. So that's odd. It looks, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. The T8 also fits here. The only T6 is the lock bar insert screw. That was weird. It's just kind of a tight fit there. But that'll be very easy to take apart and put back together. It's a titanium frame lock with bearings, right? Nice large fasteners. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Moving on to the review section, or the meat and potatoes, as I like to call it. Here is the grading scale, the possible grades it can get, and the categories that we will be taking a look at, so you can pause this if you want to. But let's go ahead and move on into the review. So as far as category 1, which is ease of manipulation, it's pretty good. There are a couple little things. Number 1, and this, you could put this part in a couple different categories, but the actual pivot smoothness is just kind of ho-hum. Sometimes Kansept has really, really good smooth action. Sometimes it's just kind of meh. And this is kind of in that territory for me. The detent, I feel like, is a little bit weak for the flipper. I kind of want it to be a little heavier. I want that satisfaction of a good break, right? It's just kind of, it just feels like some extra friction. It's not necessarily not smooth. It's just, it could be smoother. The positioning of the thumb studs is good. I think they're a little bit small. They could be a little bigger. And this fuller here can be used to reverse flick it, but it's just, I'm not getting quite enough leverage there for it to be satisfying. The access to the lock bar is fine, and there's no double clutch. It's just, it's not quite, where I would throw a really amazing grade at it, right? But there's also not really anything wrong with it, right? It's far from bad or even okay. It will definitely work. I think I'm being super generous here by giving it a B minus. Like everything, everything is definitely good enough, but not where I'm going to give it much of a higher grade than that. Moving on to category 2, blade practicality. Yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, it's not, again, not anything absolutely spectacular. But as far as whether or not the blade will function, S35VN, and honestly, for the bigger blade stock thickness, the blade gets kind of okay thin right at the edge. I mean, it's definitely sharp from the factory. We've got a nice tip. There's not really, I mean, in order to score super low in this category, you'd have to make such an off-the-wall blade shape. And we're talking about general practicality for general everyman EDC. I'm not doing anything super specialized with this category. Kind of grade it, the way that I would use it. How practical is it going to be for stuff that I use it for? And that's going to be pretty typical stuff, right? Every now and then maybe processing, wood or rope or something like that. But most of the time, just doing basic cutting tasks, cutting open packages, breaking down cardboard boxes, and it's pretty good. The thumb studs are slightly in the cutting path. Like I said, it is slightly thick. That sharpening choil and the position of the flipper tab, depending on your sharpening setup, I guess, are probably not going to be super duper friendly, but not everybody cares about that. So all in all, it kind of rounds out to a B. I don't want to go lower than that, and I don't want to go higher than that, right? It's good. It's good enough, but nothing absolutely spectacular. It'll do exactly what you expect it to do. Moving on here to comfort in both the hand and pocket. I will say the ergonomics on this are actually really, really good. We have nice chamfered edges right here. We've got contouring for the titanium, the pocket clip. It's nice and wide and knocked down. Really comfortable. That flipper tab actually angles this way, so it doesn't really bite into your hand. It's odd to me that there's not jimping up here. That's a little bit odd, and like I said, disengaging, and it's great. In and out of the pocket, it's also completely and totally fine. No mounting position for lefties, with this being a right-handed frame lock, which is a bummer, but it is heavy and it is large. So this is, kind of how you got to take this. If you're like, hey, I love big, heavy, large knives, so 6.85 ounces or whatever it was is really not that heavy to me. Well, then you can ignore my grade that is partially associated with comfort in the pocket. Because for me, this is a little bit heavy, and this is definitely what I'd classify as a larger knife. And it is not something that's going to be comfortable to carry in every scenario. In some scenarios, totally fine, right? So in the hand, comfort, really, really good. In and out of the pocket, really, really good. But as far as weight goes, it's definitely going to hold you back a little bit. A lot of people, it's going to hold you back a little bit from wanting to put it in your pocket all the time because it is big. It takes up a lot of room, and it's pretty heavy. I mean, this is like well over that 6-ounce line for me, as far like where comfort goes. So for category 3, I'm going to give it a B minus, which again is still a good score, right? I don't want anybody to get confused there. It's still good. Moving on to category 4, which is reliability. I've spoken on this in a few reviews now. A frame lock is plenty reliable, but it is far from the very best locking systems or the most reliable locking systems out there. So even the very best titanium frame lock on this channel is not going to score insanely high. That's going to be reserved for a locking system that is completely and totally superior in terms of reliability and lockup solidity, ease of manipulation. There's a bunch of other little teeny tiny elements that are going to go into that. But a frame lock is still a good locking system. So as long as it's done correctly, I'm only going to score it lower if it's not done correctly or there's lock rock or anything like that, which there's not. There's no lock rock at all. But yeah, I'm going to give it a B+, the same that I've given so far every other titanium frame lock that I've actually applied this new grading system to. There would definitely be knives from past reviews that would score lower. I've definitely handled some crappy frame locks, but just to add a little bit of context to my reasoning there, good, not great, not excellent, and far from S tier for sure. When we talk about category 5, which is overall quality, couple of little things here. I wish that there was a little bit more effort in, everything. It's kind of a bland. I mean, I always try to be as objective as possible during this section, but there's always it's impossible to be perfectly objective because I'm a human being, right? It just feels like there's not a whole lot going on. On top of that, every now and then I get a little bit of lock stick, not always. The blade did come to me off-centered. I did try to turn the pivot, and that didn't do anything. And then, like I said, everything is just kind of like the action just doesn't feel super great. And I don't want to say it's just concept. Sometimes I get concept knives that feel awesome and this fit and finish is superb, right? And sometimes I don't. It's just it's kind of a hit and miss kind of quality control thing. Now, it's not bad, right? It's not something I'd give a D grade to. In fact, far from that. But it's also not good either. It's just kind of okay, like on the upper end of okay for all of the reasons mentioned there. I'm actually going to score overall quality as a C+, which again is not a bad grade, but it's not an incredibly good grade, right? I'm trying to be fair, and this new system has pointed out to me exactly how critical I am. I look back at my score and I'm like, man, there's certain things that really, really bother me. But anyways, for the final objective, or to the best of my ability, objective category, value versus the competition. Honestly, it's pretty good, and this is usually where Kansept shines. It's not amazing, right? I mean, we definitely have other titanium frame locks on the market, built with similar quality, similar materials, sometimes better materials. Artisan Cutlery, for example, builds very similar knives in S90V and charges $200. Now, this is a lot bigger. There's a lot more material, and it is contoured. That's nice. I think this is actually I say it's a PVD coating. It might actually just be, kind of a black washed, not a whole lot different than paint, but it might actually be PVD. In any case, not that would change the price a lot. We got a full tie pocket clip. We got a full tie backspacer. Quite a bit of knife. You're getting quite a bit here. And even though there are some fit and finish issues, I have to imagine that mine is just a little bit goofy. So I want to make sure and include my actual opinions in the review, but at the same time be fair. There are many companies out there who would make exactly the same thing and charge you $100 more for absolutely no reason. So nothing here so far has made me think I definitely, wouldn't recommend this to anybody. Far from that. But it's not the absolute greatest value. It's just kind of right there in the middle of good. I had written down on my grade card here on the right, I'd written down B+, but I think I'm actually going to go slightly lower and change that to a B. Just, I like reserving the right to do that. It just, after I've handled it a little bit longer, I like to score these, a little bit in the beginning and then spend some more time with it, even more time with it, and then go back and see if I actually change my mind. And on this one, I'm actually going to change it to a B. So it's good, right? But again, nothing absolutely spectacular. And then as far as the MC cool factor score, this is the part that's completely and totally subjective, and you can ignore it, right? Because it's just me as a knife enthusiast letting you know how I feel about this, right? Does it send sparks shooting off, and does it ignite the flames of metal complex? Not really. It's just kind of okay, right in the middle of there. It's cool. It's a big knife. I've definitely seen this before, and I think for somebody who's never experienced a big titanium frame lock, you'd probably knock your socks off. It's really, really cool. I've experienced probably 700 of these things. So it's fine. And if you're okay with the rest of the scores that I've given in all these other categories, then you'll probably really enjoy this. But for me, it's about a C. Nothing super duper special there, honestly. It's just kind of okay. So taking a look at the final scorecard here, honestly, it did pretty well, right? I mean, I wanted to be fair here. And you can take, parts of this that you don't like. A lot of people ask me, why don't you do an overall score? Well, because I think that the overall score is pointless. I think that you should be looking at the individual scores and deciding which parts of this review matter the most to you, right? Whether it's all of them or just one or two of them, right? The overall score would just be an average of everything, which people can kind of do just by looking at this. But I want to give it, I want to score each category in the objective territory, and then I want to give you guys my own little cool factor score and let you pick and choose which parts of this are the most important. At worst, it got some, in the okay or the upper end of okay. But we got a lot of B's here. If this was my kid's report card, I wouldn't necessarily be too upset. I'd be like, we got some room for improvement, definitely, but not bad at all. Just be wary of some of those things that I brought up. If you're okay with this, then go ahead. But As I have said many times at the end of many reviews, if you are considering this, you should also be shopping around because there are definitely some other really, really great things, even in this general size or this general, this size of object territory in terms of a knife. There's definitely some other options out there. So definitely shop around, but not a bad knife. Just not one that I'm going to say everybody should be rushing out to grab right now. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.